92.7 WOBM. Good morning. Sean Michaels in with you, and we are talking today about the art of coding, and we're going to get into all this and find out what it's all about. But first, though, we're going to introduce you to our guest. Linda Liukas joins us. Linda is an innovative and influential voice in the world of technology, 21st century literacy, programming, and storytelling. She joins us from chilly Helsinki, Finland this morning. Linda, good morning.
Good morning, Sean.
Nice to have you with us. I have got to say, this is the first time I've had a guest from Helsinki on, so thank you for joining us.
Wonderful.
All right, let's talk about this first of all. Coding. For those who don't know what coding is about, it's obviously part of our computer software and our apps and our websites. How would you summarize for someone who doesn't know coding? How would you describe it or explain it to them?
So as you mentioned, programming is all around us. It's in the apps, it's in the computers, it's in our cars, it's everywhere around us. And especially our kids will grow up in this world where really everything around them will slowly turn into a computer, whether it's their toothbrushes or their teddy bears or something totally else. And programming is the art of giving exact instructions to the computer to do things like order food for us or send text messages or so forth and so forth. The reason we need more diverse people in this world is because we have so many young men as programmers, but not nearly enough more diverse people.
Now, what I wanted to say to you was that it's such an interesting story. Real quick, we'll touch on this. How you got involved in the internet or how you got involved in coding was all due to Al Gore. Of course, he takes credit for inventing the internet. So how did this all happen?
So I was a 13-year-old little girl in Helsinki, Finland, and everyone else this was 2001, I think, and everyone else was in love with Legolas and Elijah Wood and Lord of the Rings characters, but I had this huge teenage girl crush on Mr. Gore, and he wasn't the Oscar-nominated person, he wasn't the Nobel laureate, he was only the Vice President of the United States, and at the time there was no Pinterest or Tumblr or Facebook or any of these apps that we use nowadays, and the only way for me to sort of express all of this teenage girl love was to build a website for him. And I believe that it is the first and the last Finnish website dedicated for Al Gore. And really that's how programming for me started, as a tool of self-expression.
Yeah, and this is literally how you got on a computer and was able to express yourself. But obviously you had to go through coding and technical aspects in order to get that done. So now fast forwarding, you've started a nonprofit foundation to teach girls and women programming. They're called Rail Girls. Tell us about this program. It's pretty neat.
So Rail Girls is really about giving young women their first experience in software craftsmanship. And it's in 260 cities all over the world, in places like Amman, Jordan, and Australia, and Belo Horizonte, and Berlin. So really everywhere. And everywhere in the world we're seeing this big problem of having a very homogeneous group of often young men decide on what kind of things in our societies like get better and advance. And we need more diversity and we need more voices in the world of software and technology. And that's why Rail Girls was founded.
Very cool. And we'll have links to our Rail Girls on our website coming up at WOBM.com. Now, STEM skills through play. Why do you think this is an important area of education for young children? And describe it, if you could, to let us know what we're even talking about here.
Sure. So I think many of the listeners here think that technology and programming sounds very boring and very technical and mechanical and somehow a little bit magic. But precisely for that reason, we really need to change the way we're teaching computer science for kids, not make it boring and mechanical and somewhat magic, but rather something that is colorful and fun and creative, and sort of show the kids how programming relates to everyday situations and problems. And the storybook is really my effort in trying to create a world of software that is a little bit more creative and colorful and shows that side of coding that is so evident for me.
Yeah, now what we're talking about now as we move forward in the interview here is we're talking about your new children's book that's out, Adventures in Coding. Hello, Ruby. So tell us about Ruby.
So Ruby was founded when I was teaching myself programming and trying to figure out all of these complicated jargons like what is garbage collection or what on earth is object-oriented programming. And I would try to imagine how a 6-year-old little girl would explain these things. And all of a sudden, this character called Ruby would pop out in my head. And Ruby is also the programming language I was learning at the time. And you know how there's people who see math as like numbers, as colors. I started to see the world of technology as stories. And all of a sudden, it totally started to make sense that, oh, wow, if Apple was a character, it would be the snow leopard who's beautiful but doesn't want to play with the other kids. And Linux, the programming environment or the operating system, would probably be like a book-wise penguin that would be a little bit complicated to understand. And slowly the story kind of started to merge in my head, and I put it on Kickstarter, which is this crowdfunding platform. And I was asking for $10,000 to cover the self-publishing costs. And in 30 days, the book ended up gathering $380,000 worth of pre-orders, again, everywhere from the world. And I realized that, oh, wow, I'm a children's book author now. I really need to make this happen.
Yeah, it is really neat. And, going through the book, it really is fantastic. There's activities included, all kinds of neat things. Like you said, to bring young women into the fold. I mean, even the young guys, the young boys, if you're reading this at home, will get into this as well. Because let's face it, I mean, the kids know technology is out there. So this is a good introduction to them, right?
Totally. And the kids know how to use technology. But instead of being creators of technology, they are kind of consumers of technology. They have these magical devices like the iPhone, but they have no idea how it actually works or what you can do with it. And the book is kind of a first step in changing the perception of little kids.
Well, we thank you for coming in and joining us to talk about this. The book is available Amazon.com and Borders and every place else?
Yep.
Very cool. And the website, folks, is Rail, just like Railroad, railgirls.com, and we'll have links to that on there. And you can check out some really neat stories, information, videos. And I was really enjoying watching some of your videos where you're a guest lecturer because you have a lot of insight. You're very motivational. And yet, before I knew it, you were bringing me into technology without even feeling like I was in the midst of a science class.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear, Sean. Thank you so much.
Hey, listen, if I could do one thing, Linda, before you go, how would you say Merry Christmas to us in Finnish before you go?
Wow. Hyvää joulua.
I'm sorry?
Hyvää joulua.
That is Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, yes.
That's fun. That's fun. Thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate you taking time. Linda, Liukas, and we'll have all this information up on our website. Linda, have a great holiday season. Thanks for being with us.
You too. Thank you so much.
All right, there you go. And, of course, Rail Girls is the website, and the book is called Hello Ruby, Adventures in Coding. And we'll have information on how to get the book as well for you. It's pretty cool and gets kids involved in programming and technology because, let's face it, it's the future. And she's right on target with this. So thanks for joining us with 92.7 WOBM.
Hyvää joulua.